Oh, here we are. Can you hear me? Yeah, we're all better. Are you ready to receive? Are you ready to receive the gifts of Spirit? Yes. I'm going to ask one more time. Are you ready to receive the gifts of the universe? Yes, yes. You see, contingent upon being able to receive. Some of us are not always the best receivers, are we? And yet, Spirit is relying upon us being able, willing to receive. Until and unless we can receive, we cannot give. And unity is the unbroken chain of giving and receiving as one. And what we know here is that there really is, it seems like there's a cause and an effect going on here. But really, what's happening is that we are in perfect flow. We're giving and receiving become one. And it is in this oneness that all is given for all. You see, there's no withhold in Spirit. There's no withhold in the universe. There's no withhold in God. And so, what are we holding on to? And what are we withholding? And so this becomes the question. When we started this series, which was called ReImagine Unity, the transformation era, we began with the image of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. And that caterpillar, for some unknown reason, became very hungry and started munching away more than it had ever done before. Something was driving it, and it didn't think about what it was. It just responded and munched and matured and became a mature caterpillar that had some sort of crazy things happening where all of a sudden it knew something was changing. And as it was changing, it hung from a branch and a chrysalis started to encase it. And it went through a transformation era, but that chrysalis was not complete until the very last thing was the head of the caterpillar. And what I spoke about was that the head of the caterpillar does not get encased in the chrysalis, that it is left behind. And what is symbolic is that in our transformation era, something must be left behind. And what we begin to choose to leave behind is a thought system, a belief system, which we identified last week as BS. And we're letting go of the BS, the belief system that says that we are separate from God, that says that our source comes from something outside of God, God consciousness. And so the caterpillar becomes encased in the chrysalis, and it takes a period of time for it to become a butterfly, to transform, to transmute into something else. The transformation era that we as human beings go through is that we let go of the belief system of believing that we are merely human. And we begin to release that belief system and turn to the power that created us and begin to return home to the identity of being of God, that we are God beings. This is the transformation era. This is the transformation that Jesus taught about. If we think it is anything different for us, we are mistaken, and we will toil for thousands more years. The time of awakening and the time of the second coming, the transformation era is now. It is no other time than now, and it is no other person than you, and you, and you, and me. That's what we're up to in this community. This is the transformation era. We're reimagining ourselves. We're being truly Renaissance, where we are being remade, rebirthed, and we are in a more fully absolute way living our spiritual statements of truth. And we started our process with reimagining our gifts and how we give our gifts, and how our soul print is much like a fingerprint, and that we become the unique divine conduit through which certain gifts get expressed in the world. And to the degree that we do that is the degree to which we feel fulfilled, because it is in our givingness that we feel the presence of God, the presence of love, the peace and the joy that is inherent in our vision and our mission. And so now we have turned to this idea of abundance, and as Ed mentioned, we're working through this book. And this book is like the chrysalis. It's like going on a pilgrimage. The 40 days, the 40 nights resemble and symbolize the time it takes for transformation. And because our belief systems are so ingrained, not only ingrained within ourselves, but in the race consciousness, which means the consciousness of everyone. And now in this culture is broadcast so completely, so thoroughly, that in any instant, I can know what someone else is thinking. And I can think it might be true. And then I can operate according to that. And then we all kind of get into this energy, the prevailing thought system of a race consciousness that has fallen asleep and forgotten who it is, where it comes from, and where the authority lies. And so it takes a little bit of time to change a belief system. It takes persistence, consistency, commitment, and nothing extraordinary happens without it. It is said that how does a caterpillar become a butterfly? How do human beings become Christ? They must want to fly more than they want to be a caterpillar. We must desire to fly. And then that becomes our complete 100%, nothing left out, nothing withheld, focus. And we give our focus and attention there. And where we give our focus and attention, when we give it to God consciousness, our full attention, our full appreciation, our full devotion, guess what? When we go out in the world, we see it everywhere. We begin to see it everywhere because we've become it. We must be the becomers of this consciousness first. You first, us first. All right, I got a you first story that's going to come out right now. Not planned. But when I was a young person, there was a group of us, like kid young, that thought we used to go swimming at the quarry. And in the distance of the quarry, we could see the cliffs. And there was a myth or a rumor or the idea that there were people who were older than us that went cliff diving. Now, the water was deep. We knew that. So we knew that it was possible, and we believed it to be safe. And so one day, a group of us got together. You can think of that movie, a bunch of kids go on a journey. Stand By Me. Think of Stand By Me. Here we are. We got our little knapsacks. We're going on a hike for a day. And then we approach this cliff. And we're going to jump off. We check the water. We can tell that the water's deep. We're going to be okay. Yeah, wink, wink, right? Right? We are. We believe this. And so the ringleader might have been me. And you know how stories change after time. So I think we're all in this together, right? We're all going to go. And we all kind of approach the cliff. And one of the kids says to me, "You first." I thought, me first? I'm not sure I'm that committed to this project here. And then I remember stepping back, and I'm like, if we can hold hands, we can all go together. And we approach the cliff. But there is this idea of you first. One of us has to be willing to transform. And one of us was, right? Jesus said, okay, I went first, now y'all follow. It's like, come on. But we're afraid because it requires going into the unknown, does it not? We're familiar with the belief system of being human. We think we're not familiar with the belief system of being as Christ. We just forgot. That's all. That's all. And so we have this prayer of abundance. And this prayer of abundance, I have said, is the most powerful healing modality that there is. Because as Ed said, when we understand this prayer, that we can apply it to anything and everything. Because how we do some things in spirit, in principle, is how we want to do all things, because there's no exception in spiritual principle. And so last week we talked about choosing our source, choosing God as our source. And in this little booklet, it talks repeatedly that God is our source, our substance, our supply, our activity. And that is very consistent with what we say in unity. We say God is all that there is. We do identify God as source, as substance, as the activity of our experience. And that when we align in God consciousness, we become the conduit. All power under heaven and earth then channels through each of us. And miracles happen, seeming miracles happen. Last week, I talked about identifying the elephants in the room. And we kind of did that with our finances as a community. And I shared a little bit about my own finances, how 20-some years ago I found myself in a financial debt. And it wasn't unlike the community here, finding itself where it was spending more than what it was taking in. And so really what we're doing is we're identifying the elephants in the room. And what did I say about the elephants in the room? When we know that they're there, when we become aware of them, what are we going to do? We're going to say, yay, goody, goody, wow, because it becomes an opportunity to transform. So the numbers that we saw up there, all those numbers represent is our former belief system. And we're choosing a new belief system. I'm going to say there are a lot of elephants in the room. Not this room in particular, but in our global room. Are there not? So we are going to practice with the principles of abundance and prosperity with the elephant in this room, but the same things that we're going to apply there are applicable with any issue that you are perceiving in your life right now. You know, I still avail myself of spiritual coaching and counseling. And my meetings have shifted because over time what I have learned is that I really don't have any problems. and neither do you. There really is no problem. Those things which appear as problems, those things that appear as, lack, those things that appear as maybe financial lack, those things that appear perhaps as health issues, those things that appear as disharmony in relationship, those are the goody-goody moments. I get to go, oh good, I get to practice principle here. I get to reveal to myself, show to myself where I'm imagining from a belief system that isn't true, the absence of God. Where are you currently imagining, misimagining the absence of God? The absence of a source, a substance, supply, activity, direction, guidance that meets every perceived problem and fulfills every need. I bet something popped into your mind. I bet something did. So when it popped into my mind over 20 years ago that I was experiencing a financial lack, thank God I was in a spiritual community. Thank God that I was in a spiritual community that was teaching these truths. Thank God. Because who knows where I would be today. And so, as Ed said, I didn't want to choose that. And by not looking at what was going on in my life, I would be choosing lack. And there is no lack in God. There's no lack in God consciousness whatsoever. And so what I was told, it was to begin to practice spiritual principles and truth and to meditate upon them daily. I was told to speak and focus solely upon spiritual principles of truth. And then I was told, what do you have in your house? What do you have to give? I'm like, well, I just told you my sob story. I ain't got nothing. I mean, I am broke. Anybody have a little drama queen in them or king? I sure do. I sure did and do. And it serves me very well today. But at that time, it didn't. And so I thought, what do I have in my house? What do I have? And I started looking at what I had. And I started giving it, putting it in circulation, offering it for sale. I literally started selling things. And that's how I started priming the pump in the world of experience. I no longer needed to hold on to certain things of my past, and I became willing to let go, to follow instructions of God, and I had no idea where it would lead me. I can look back now, and I can tell you where it led me. It led me to a person who taught me how to negotiate. It led me to a job where I negotiated the best salary up until that date I had ever received. It led me to work and to resources expressed through people, but was of God and God consciousness that paved the way and added to my bank account that supported me in following my vision of becoming a minister. It funded my school. It took away my debt within a year. And all I had to do was to start to be willing, to practice, to be consistent, to apply it in this one area in my life. That God is my source, my substance, my supply, the activity, and how I am directed. I say, yes, ma'am, I'll go first. And I will lead that way. And so that's what I know happens here. And in my experience, it was one person with that amount of debt. Here, it's an entire community. But here, what we know is that the resources come in a multitude of ways. Because somebody might be sitting there, who, what, me? I am already giving. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But we're just asking you to focus on God consciousness. We're asking you to remember who and what your source is. We're asking you to practice the principles that we teach here. And when we do, the gifts of the universe come in myriad of ways, including through each individual. But it comes in other ways as well. Those are miracles. Those are the fishes multiplying and the loaves multiplying to feed all. That's what we're talking about. And when we practice it within our individual life, within our community life, and we're going to do a meditation that extends it, it's not selfish, my friends. It extends it to the world. We must go first. We must be in integrity with who we are as spirit, what we are as Christ, and how we serve. And we must receive the abundance of the universe first. Be willing to receive, that we give freely. And so we began last week with a declaration, and this declaration is the beginning of the prayer, and you may or may not be able to see that, and that's okay, because I'm going to unpack it a little bit anyway and speak it again. But here's the deal. It's on page 28 of your book. We're going over it in the class. You're welcome to join us. And as Ed said, partake of it on your own. But this is the beginning of the prayer. This is the beginning of every prayer. Every prayer is we must decide our source. Are we going to confuse it with the world, with people, with places, with things? These are called effect. Effect is not cause. There's only one cause, God consciousness. And so we're continuously turning from a belief system, a BS system that doesn't work, that will fail, will not meet every need, and knows nothing about abundance for all. All we need to do is look at our society right now. That's all we have to do to understand the reflection and the outpicturing of this thought system. And the only solution is to go to God consciousness. That's it. And so in this book it says, this day I cease believing in money as my source. How many of you have believed money as your source, your bank account, your 401k as your source? It is not. God is. So when we view this, any world of effect as our source, it's all it is an outpicturing of our belief system. But when we believe in it as power, guess what? We cut ourselves off from the one power, and we demonstrate lack. So I believed in the power of money, therefore I surrendered my God-given power and authority to an objectified belief. I believed in the possibility of lack. If we believe lack is being true, then what we have done is we've caused a separation from this consciousness, from this God conscious. We've severed it. It's as if we've turned our back upon it. And all we can see is a shadow because the light is behind us. We turn to the light of God and that consciousness, and this becomes our supply. Anytime I have believed in, it says mortal man and carnal mind, anytime I have believed that people are my source, that jobs are my source, that salaries are my source, every single time I believe that, or in conditions, oh my God, what if Social Security goes away? I remember journaling about that earlier this year. And what came out right away is that is not my source. God is. There's only one source. Boy, I'm counting on it. Boy, I really want it. Boy, I hope it doesn't go away. Anybody have that kind of voice going on? Ain't your source, not your source, never was, never will be, still isn't. If it happens, great, good, bless it, awesome. But our source comes from a multitude of sources, and it's all from God. So I believed in those conditions and put my faith there, and guess what? People and conditions had power over me. Ever feel like people and conditions have power over you? Anytime you're blaming anybody or anything for anything, you believe people and conditions have power over you. There is no blame. There's ever only 100% self-responsibility, period, period, period. She sounds mean, doesn't she? No, she's talking the truth. And we have to do that with compassion and love, of course. So I believed in mortal illusions created by the collective consciousness of error thought, and in so doing, I have limited the unlimited. Anybody ever limit the unlimited? You know, it's like we are roses, and we have this stem that connects us to our source, and we cut it off, or we try to control it in some way. And we strangle the good off. And God's like, why are they doing that? Don't they know I already gave them everything? All they have to do is receive. That's it. And so this book says, no more, no more. It's an exclamation point. I can't say that, exclamation point. No more, stomp your foot. No more, say no more, no more. This day I renounce my so-called humanhood and I claim my divine inheritance. This day I acknowledge God and only God as my source, my substance, my supply, my support. So let's do that part together. No more. I want you to turn this way if you can. No, turn this way first. This day I renounce my so-called humanhood. Renounce my so-called humanhood. And now turn this way. And I claim my divine inheritance. I claim my divine inheritance as a being of God. This day I acknowledge God, and only God, as my substance, my supply, and my source. Take a breath here. Do you feel that? I feel some whoos and whoo. It got warm in here, didn't it? Because our energy has elevated. Now check this out. Ed said he was on day 5. I'm going to catch y'all up to day 5 right now. I'm just going to invite you to hear this. Because today's title is Unity is Abundance. So the whole beginning of a prayer is just deciding what your source is. You got a condition, you got an elephant in the room, it represents an old thought system. I'm going to turn from that thought system and I'm going to God consciousness. What's the purpose of our prayer? The purpose of our prayer is this, that we want to experience abundance and prosperity in its truest form, which is the fulfillment of every need and desire, that it is infinite and that the measure is filled according to our consciousness. And so we are expanding our consciousness to be a wider, broader, bigger conduit for spirit to work through us, not because we're greedy, not because we're going to keep it all for ourselves, because unity is also giving and receiving, an unbroken chain of giving and receiving that all may benefit. We're not going to be the ones to stop up that flow. No, we want to stay in the flow. And so that's how we do it. And we begin them by recognizing that God is lavish, unfailing abundance. And I just want you to hear this with me. God is. We begin with recognizing what God is. God is lavish. It is unfailing abundance. It fails us not. It is the infinite, rich, omnipresent substance of the universe. This all-providing source of infinite prosperity is individualized as me. Say, it's individualized as me. Say that. It's individualized as me, the reality of me. Every prayer begins this way. We recognize God, and then we unify ourselves with that. God is, I am. God is love, I am love. God is peace, I am. God is abundance. Why? Because we're the conduit for it to happen. We must receive so we may give. So we lift our heart, our mind to be aware, to understand, to know. The divine presence I am is the source and substance of all my good. Say, the divine presence I am is the source and substance of all my good. Feel that. Feel that. And so when we are conscious of this inner presence as our lavish supply, we're conscious of the mind, of this principle operating. We begin to see it everywhere. And therefore, our consciousness is filled with light. We focus on light, our consciousness is filled with light. Those shadows disappear and dissipate into the nothingness from which they came. It was our imagination. We imagined the absence of God. All we had to do was turn. That was it. Remember? You guys were this way, right? A little bit. Come on, this way. Now you're this way. That's it. Turn. Turn. And through this consciousness of the God self within, the Christ within, we feel it, and the substance is our supply. Thus, my consciousness of the presence of God within me is my supply. Money's not our supply. No person, place, or thing is our supply. But my awareness of this, the divine mind within me, that's the truth. And it's unlimited and it's unfailing. We take a breath here, and I just invite us to turn within to prayer. As we pause and take a breath, we turn within, we turn within, we turn within. We drop into the heart space. I invite you to allow my words to become your words, the words of the higher self. It is here that I invite Spirit to think through me. Spirit, think through me. I let the Christ presence use my mind to think about my financial affairs or any issue I may have, that the solution to the problem is here. A voice descends into my awareness, and it says, know that I am with you always. I am all you seek. Seek therefore me. I am the spirit of the invisible and the visible. I am the substance behind all things. I am the energy of creation. Do as I say, and all will be well. I focus upon plentifulness of spirit. I imagine and sense a substance flowing from the center of my being. It's like a fountain. It's bountiful, constant, without end. I imagine it as a light that encircles me. It encircles the globe. It extends from me and encircles everything. It is an eternal fountain of all good, forever flowing. With each breath it infills me and extends out. My cup runneth over. Mentally, I open the door of my consciousness and I release the flow. This flow moves from me to the world as a golden light. It lifts each soul into a new vibration of abundance. I see every person on the planet connected in this light. I see visible supply being attracted to everyone without exception. I see joy and gratitude on the people's faces everywhere. This joy and gratitude is a thanksgiving to God. All needs are met. Supply begins to flow to me. It returns in waves. I watch these waves throughout the world. Every need is met. And with each breath, I am prosperous. I am whole. I am filled with peace as I am connected with this light and all that is. This is the flow that I abide in, live, move, and have my being now and forevermore.